Today, we are unpacking the true psychology behind why we so often avoid hard work, and more importantly, how to actually fix it. We've all been there, right? You know exactly what you should be doing. It's that workout, the deep work session, maybe the early morning wake-up, or even that difficult conversation you've just been putting off. But somehow you just don't do it. Well, today we're going to look at the real mechanics of why that happens, and honestly, it's absolutely fascinating. Look at this dynamic. It's so relatable it hurts. On one side, we have what you plan to do, on the other, what you actually do. Almost every single time, your hand just sort of naturally reaches for the phone instead, doesn't it? You sit down at your desk with the best intentions, and literally within 3 minutes, you're scrolling through videos of things you don't even care about. But I want to be super clear right off the bat here. You do not do this because you're lazy. You don't do this because you lack goals. You do it because, somewhere along the way, your brain quietly rewired itself to crave an easy hit. Okay, let's dive into this. Why does discipline currently feel like an absolute punishment to your nervous system? To understand this, we have to look past all that surface-level behavioral advice you see online and plunge directly into the biological cause of your daily struggle.
Section 1. The willpower illusion.
We need to completely dismantle this idea that you just need to force things through brute strength. This is what almost nobody explains properly in the self-help space. Discipline isn't just about forcing yourself through sheer willpower. It is actually a rewirable reward system. You can literally train your brain to enjoy discipline. But it all starts with understanding how to take back control of your biology. You aren't meant to constantly fight your own mind. You're meant to align with it.
Moving on to Section 2. The pursuit chemical.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how dopamine has been so widely misunderstood by the general public. Most people hear it and strictly think, oh, that's the pleasure chemical. Actually, scratch that. It's not. Dopamine is the chemical of pursuit and anticipation. It's released not when you finally get the reward, but in the anticipation of getting it. This is the exact same mechanism that makes a slot machine so incredibly addictive. It isn't the winning that hooks a gambler, it's the unpredictable anticipation of a potential win. And man, modern life is engineered perfectly to trigger this pursuit response constantly. Think about it. Infinite scrolling, the sudden ping of a push notification, swiping through quick entertainment videos. Each one of these things promises a tiny reward, and your brain releases dopamine just from the mere possibility of getting it. These tech platforms are delivering small, frequent, and totally unpredictable dopamine spikes that calibrate our brains to just an extreme level of daily stimulation.
Which brings us to Section 3, the baseline problem.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're up against. When you look at how dopamine spikes, the problem becomes so obvious. A massive, instant spike from a phone notification easily overpowers the slow, low-level spike you get from studying, or working out, or building a business. Psychologists describe this as a kind of tolerance, very similar to how the human body adapts to substances. If your nervous system is used to massive, instant hits, a quiet, effortful task is always going to lose in a head-to-head comparison. It simply cannot produce dopamine as fast or as reliably as your phone can. Listen, if discipline feels almost physically repellent to you right now, I need you to know it is not a moral failing. You don't have a broken brain. It is just a mismatched baseline. Your brain has been trained through sheer repetition to expect a very specific, high-speed kind of reward pattern. And a challenging task like deep work, it just doesn't naturally provide it.
Let's look at Section 4, redefining the dopamine detox.
So you've probably heard of a dopamine detox, right? Well, the term is incredibly misleading. You cannot literally deplete your dopamine, and the goal is absolutely not to eliminate pleasure from your life. Think of it instead like a palate cleanser. If you've been eating intensely sweet junk food all day, a piece of natural fruit tastes completely bland by comparison. But if you remove that processed sugar for a while, that exact same piece of fruit suddenly tastes vivid, sweet, and deeply satisfying again. Removing junk content from your life works the exact same way. It resets your mental baseline sensitivity.
A proper detox isn't about punishment. It's simply about pausing those low-effort, high-stimulation inputs for a defined period. You're doing this so that your natural baseline sensitivity has a chance to reset, making the smaller, slower rewards of discipline feel genuinely rewarding once again. That perfectly sets up Section 5, discipline as a dopamine system. So the crucial point is this massive shift in perspective, and it will completely change how you view hard work going forward. Discipline was never designed to compete with dopamine. Discipline actually is a dopamine system. It's just a slower, more delayed one. When you finish a hard workout or nail a deep work session, your brain absolutely does release dopamine tied to accomplishment and mastery. The fundamental issue is simply that this reward arrives after the effort, not before it. Our job isn't to eliminate dopamine, it's to rebuild our tolerance for the gap between the effort we put in and the reward we get out.
Next is Section 6, Rebuilding Your Self-Trust.
Now, beyond the neurochemistry, there's a second deeply psychological foundation that operates quietly beneath the surface of all this. Think about this. Every time you say you'll do something and you actually follow through, your brain logs a small, undeniable piece of evidence. It says, hey, I can trust myself. This happens every single time you choose discipline over distraction. You are logging proof in your own mind that you are a reliable person.
Psychologists call this self-efficacy. It's basically the compounding belief in your own ability to follow through on your intentions. Each small act of discipline makes the next one slightly easier. But I have to warn you, the inverse is also true. Every time you choose the easy hit, reaching for the phone instead of doing the work, you are reinforcing a quiet belief that you cannot rely on yourself. This is exactly why discipline feels so incredibly heavy at the very beginning. You aren't just fighting your dopamine baseline, you are actively having to rebuild trust with yourself one small follow-through at a time.
All right, Section 7, How to Actually Rewire It.
Let's move to and see how this builds into real practical steps. Step 1. Reduce access to high-stimulation inputs, especially in the first hour of your day, because whatever you expose your brain to first kind of sets the tone for your whole nervous system. Step 2. Start with embarrassingly small discipline. I'm not talking about a 2-hour gym session. Start with just 5 minutes. Seriously, even just putting your gym shoes on counts. The goal isn't intensity, it's proving to your brain that follow-through is safe and repeatable. Step 3. Let the reward land. When you finish that 5 minutes, pause. Actually notice the feeling of accomplishment instead of instantly grabbing your phone. Train your brain to register the reward. And step 4, expect initial discomfort and boredom. That boredom isn't a sign of failure, it is the literal feeling of your nervous system recalibrating in real time.
Ultimately, what I want you to take away from this explainer is that discipline doesn't have to feel like a punishment forever. It was never about having more raw willpower than everyone else. It's simply a reward system in your brain that you haven't given a fair chance to work yet. You really can retrain your mind to expect a different kind of reward, step by step.
I want to leave you with this final critical thought to chew on today. Really look at your daily routines and ask yourself honestly, what high-stimulation habit is raising your baseline the most right now? Identify it, take back control of your dopamine, and just watch how quickly the hard work starts to feel rewarding again.